Okay, so we've got the bike torn apart even further now. I removed the front wheel today. I took the back mudguard off, which is actually really easy. It's only 2 bolts at the shock mounts. And you don't even have to take them off fully because it just slides off there. And so we're working on the brakes today. One of the things I did was I took the these felts out. These are what amounts to seals on these old bikes. This is just kind of like a felt material. And checked the wheel bearings out, and they look good. I gave them some fresh grease. I packed a little more in there, and this thing spins pretty nice right now. I'm going to try to get these tires off, which is going to be a real thrill, but we'll get to that. The hub, well, let's go over here. The hub, so this is the backing plate for the brakes. The shoes go on the pins here. And these have a tendency to get sticky as they get old and gummed up and everything. And I want to take these apart. I got this one out okay. This one does not want to come apart, but in working on it and lubing it up a little bit, it spins very freely. So I'm not going to be too concerned about getting off. This lever doesn't want to come off of here, and I'm not going to fight it since it's working fine. But this one is pretty gummy. It just, you hear it. It doesn't spin freely. So I'm going to put the polish up this pin and clean the hole out. I don't think that's the problem. I think the pin's got a bunch of crud on it. So that'll be the next step. And then the drum looks fine. The shoes are in good shape. They're not worn out. So that's where we are currently with that project. A couple minutes later, with just some Scotch-Brite pad and a little polishing, and clean that up. Now it's in there, and now we can spin it very easily. Keep in mind, it doesn't have to spin in a full circle. It only has to pivot back and forth a little bit, but that's what we're looking for there. Put a little anti-seize type grease on there, and we'll be good to go back together. Here's a little trick I found to do the brake shoes. These guys can be real pesky to get on and off. If you don't have that special expanding tool, depending on the shape of your vise, you might be able to use that. Well, you know what they call project creep? Well, that's what we've got here. I keep taking things apart, and this is where we are now. A couple weirdo things. Let's see, let's start with this. This is pretty hilarious. So, what's wrong with this picture? Stare at it for a minute. See if you see it. Alright, pause it if you haven't found it, but I'm going to tell you what it is. 1, 2, 3. Now, only one is actually a valve stem. The other 2 are bolts. What in the wide world of sports was done here? I have no idea. We'll have to get the tire off and see what's going on there. That is the original Dunlop rim, so I'd like to keep it. What else did we do here? So the oil drain on this is baffling. All the bullets I've worked on have drain plugs underneath, like 2 or 3 of them because of different reservoirs, but there's nothing. So you got to drain the oil over here with this big plug, but you can't get a tool on it because this stud and nut, which holds the case together, is right in the way. The head of the nut is too close to it. Now you can get a socket on it, but only if you can go on it straight. And to go on it straight, you have to take the exhaust off. So we took that exhaust pipe off, which was actually good because when I stood it up on its end, a bunch of nutshells and seeds and all kinds of crap came out. So a mouse had been storing his winter booty in there, I guess. The left side, we took that off too because I just wanted to make sure, and there wasn't anything in that one. So then I, of course, because it's a Royal Enfield and it's me, I had to take the primary cover off. So I figured, well, the oil is not looking good in the engine. We probably should change the oil over here as well. And it is pretty gooey and slimy and disgusting. So that was okay. And typical of every Royal Enfield I touch, the chain's loose. And in fact, you can see where it's been wearing away at that spacer. So I'm going to have to see if it'll adjust out or if it's time for a new chain. Again, this bike is only supposed to have 2,900 miles on it. I don't know, maybe that odometer quit working. I'm not sure. I mean, there's things about this bike that say, yes, it only has this many miles on it, and other things I look and go, what on earth? Like that. Just doesn't seem right. The chain back here, not really anything I can say about that, other than it seems like it's long. I have moved these since, but these were extended out. I mean, all the way back here. It seems like a lot to me. In the process of getting this cover off, we had to remove this foot peg, which predictably was bent, and therefore I couldn't get the cover off with it. So I had to, and I couldn't get it at the nut, so I had to hammer the fitting through the underside, push that out far enough that I could get a wrench on the nut and then take it off. And then I could get the exhaust pipe off, and then I could get this cover off. And that was lots of fun. And in the process of doing that, we had to take this brake lever off, which it rotates on that, but it doesn't want to come out. So that needs to be taken apart and cleaned and lubed and all that good stuff. And then here's our brake light switch, which is really high-tech. A little bit more high-tech than the one on the Bullet. So here we are, tearing even more apart. It's not stopping. I was not intending to really go this far with it, but here's the oil filter taken apart. The element's not here. I'm going to replace that. Here's this is a screen. This is the oil drain plug, by the way. And you can see it's kind of knackered. I'm debating if I want to replace it or not. The socket still fits on it really well, but I don't know. But you can see inside there that we got some solids built up inside the screen. And the way this works is the oil comes in the hole there, and then it goes to the inside of the screen, and then the oil passes through the screen and into the sump, which I can show you here. Let me get a light. Real high-tech professional video making we're doing here. So there's where the drain plug goes. I don't know if you can get a good look in there, but there's a oil passage right there. To bottom left, you can see that hole there. That's where the oil comes in. It goes through that screen. And then this is the sump. Let's see if I can get you a little bit of a shot of that. These are coated on the inside with a yellow paint of some sort, or a coating to keep I think it's to keep the oil from sticking, make it run down into the sump. They do that on race car engines too, even today, but it's kind of hard to see, but there's some sludge in there. I mean, this thing's been sitting around for, since '74, and it's a light coating of muddy crud in there. My thinking is to leave it alone, because if I try to clean it out, flush it out with anything, if I break it loose, then we run into the probability of it just starting to circulate. If it's in there and intact, just laying in the bottom the way it is now, I think it's less likely to cause any trouble. So since we're not taking this engine fully apart, I hope we're just going to leave that alone. As Derek at Vice Grip Garage says, I'm going to pretend I didn't see that. And then when the advance mechanism broke and the chunks fell out, one of them got down in here, and you can see this is all beat up from the chain trying to chew it up. There's actually a little tiny, looks like a tiny crack in that, but this is just the housing for this oil pump drive. It doesn't really do anything except sit there and kind of look gnarly. So again, not really going to do anything with it. If I tried to clean that up, I'm going to get filings everywhere, and I don't think that's going to help anything. I think it's best just to leave it as is. It's not a structural part right there. I just can't imagine anything, because the shaft is supported out farther. I just don't think it's going to be a long-term problem. So we're going to risk that. Pretend we didn't see that. And we're moving on to the chrome. This is the front mudguard, and I was kind of hoping I could clean this up, but the chrome is actually delaminating. I had a workbench here. I don't know if you can see it. There's little sparkles here and there. Probably can't see it, but when I was taking steel wool to this thing, it's just literally tearing it off and just flinging little chrome sparkles every place. So this fender's kind of done as far as its chrome goes. I'm going to try cleaning it up for now. Hitchcock's has replacements, but I have a feeling they're just painted or primered, and they're not chrome for the price that they show. It's like $200 and some. I'm going to check on that, but unfortunately this would need to be re-chromed, and re-chroming anymore is very expensive. So at this point, with some of the other bills I've been getting, I'm talking about the magneto, which is now done. It just isn't here yet. We're going to hold off on that. Also, as with every Enfield, these center brackets break. Bullets do it all the time. This one is too. And the difference is that the bullet is a single rod here. This one is actually, it goes up and it's a loop and goes down to the other side. They do still make this. I think it's around $30 to get a new one, so no big deal there. I think that is where we are currently. Of course, it made a mess on the floor. Every single time I've tried to drain fluids on anything this week, not just this bike, I've had big piles of mess on the floor. So it's kind of my trademark, I guess, anymore. So I think that's it for this update. We're going to keep rocking on. I'm going to get a parts order together here. I'm getting to the point where I'm actually going to start to need some things to be able to put anything together and get that stuff coming. But the bike itself has been very easy to work on. None of the fasteners have given me grief. It was obviously stored inside all the time because nothing's, I mean, there's some rusty fasteners, but it's just like surface coating rust that cleans off very easy on the wire wheel. Nothing seized together, even on the underside. So very pleased with that. So there we go. That's the current update. May throw this up a while just so you guys have something to look at, something to critique, something to comment on. I'm going to have to order tires. I tried getting these off myself, and it's a no-go. Tire irons just aren't quite enough, at least not the kind I have. So I think we're going to take these someplace and get them done. But I got to get tires and tubes and all that nonsense. So there we are. Parts everywhere. Motorcycle in a basket. There you go. Some assembly required. Talk to you soon.